Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pennsylvania Earth Sciences Association, PESA Presents, with a very brief look at the geology of the Appalachian Trail. So we're going to look at not only the rocks beneath the trail itself, but also just really a brief history of how the trail came to be and some of the highlights of what it is and the states that it crosses. Now, obviously, something like the Appalachian Trail and the Appalachian Mountains itself, you can't really go into everything, just all the folding and the faulting and all the rocks itself involved is something that is incredibly complex. So that is why we're going to just really go into things as simply as possible, just to really make things just accessible for everybody. Now, this runs from Maine to Georgia and is just really one of the wonders of the United States. It's one of the things that I had to do just about the entire Pennsylvania length at my first college, and as much as we grumbled, it is definitely something that I can very highly recommend to anybody. And it is an absolute, really, it's an absolute marvel, and it is a wonder to behold. So let's look into things now. So formally, it's called the Appalachian National Scenic Trail, and it was established on October 2nd of 1968 by that physical name. Now, altogether, as of now, it runs about 2189 miles, and you go at just about 235,973 acres. Now it crosses into quite a few different states. We're going to visit those in turn towards at the end, each individually, but all together, first of all, we got to begin really with the geology of things. And altogether, with the plate tectonics, you're looking to go back at about 1.2 billion years ago, when all of this really just starts to get kind of, well, complicated. But let's sort of uncomplicate it. So when does this start to really get together is with the Grenville orogeny, with the formation of the supercontinent called Rodinia. So basically, if you were to look at our planet at the time, Earth would kind of look like that, well, it would look like that sort of little blob on the right there. So you have to keep in mind that because the position of our continents change over time, North America doesn't always look like what North America looks like now, nor is it always in the position that it looks like all the time that we traditionally think of it being. So things move backwards and forwards, and they collide in with each other, and they move back out of each other. And that's going to be a lot of what drives the formation of the Appalachian Mountains and then henceforth the Appalachian Trail. So now an orogeny, by the way, is the geologic term for a mountain building event. So these events that go back and forth, this mountain building event that created this supercontinent, so these various plates that collided together, all of this lasted about 270 million years, to really sum total. Now, finally, Rodinia broke up. Really, I mean, it even happened to the Beatles. It has to happen to pretty much anybody sometime. Now, that led to the formation of a giant ocean called the Iapetus Ocean. Now, the remainder of some of those rocks from Rodinia are in the orange that are right there. You can kind of see that, and a lot of those rocks you can still find in the Appalachian region today. Why? You would reason, right, that because they're so old, wouldn't they be covered by other rocks? Well, then, because you have so much folding and faulting and everything else, all these other rocks get pushed up to the surface. So, lucky us, we get to look at these older rocks. Now, so this ocean got formed, and then it was then filled in with these sediments, some of which were marine, some of which were not, and then they created this rather famous geologic province, which is just basically a term for basically a particular group of rocks, just to simplify things, called the Valley and Ridge Province, which is very well known in that particular area that we're concerned with here. So then we go to the Ordovician period about 450 million years ago for a further mountain building event called the tectonic orogeny. And then right after that, we have an additional one called the Akkadian orogeny. So we've had several of these mountain building events in a row all along the coast of what we would now call North America, all along the eastern coast of today's North America, just as some back and forth. They keep hitting in and then breaking apart this coast in North America, just folding and faulting. So right now with this Akkadian orogeny, you keep having this folding again, and in this case, this high mountain belt formed, leading to the southern part of that Iapetus Ocean that had just formed. So the southern part of this ocean closed, and this new ocean is instead created. And then we wound up having basically the final major orogeny in all of this. It's called either the Alleghenian or the Appalachian orogeny, and it lasted from about 325 to 260 million years ago. And it was a series of several deformational events, about maybe 5, some people say 6. It really depends on who you ask. Some sources will even classify it as 4. Really, altogether, what happened was today's Africa collided with really what you would sort of consider to be today's geographic North America, and it created the supercontinent Pangaea. Now, altogether, if you were to basically look at the continents, how they are shaped today, that's sort of how they were kind of squashed together back at the time. Just to give you an idea, we know that they were arranged that way because of actually the position of several different fossils. Like the fern Glossopteris was found in different places. So now if that fern was found in between, say, Australia to Antarctica to India and there and so on and so forth, then that meant that those continents were kind of next to each other at certain times, right? Now on to a little bit more of the trail. So we have the rocks below. So how does the trail above actually get there? So there are some of the blaze markers right there. It's the A and the T together, the little arrows. So it's very handy for absolutely just directionally incapable people like me to lead you through. So now it was really conceived in 1921, and then altogether in various stages, things came about through and up to about 1937. Things were more so finalized, and still it about 2189 miles right now. Now, so say that this fellow on the left right here, and yes, I realize that's a penguin, but come on, there are not that many decent looking icons of hikers and public source images. So now this is a through hiker versus, say, a sectional hiker. So now a through hiker is somebody that does just that. You go from one end to the other end altogether versus a sectional hiker just does it just in sections. Now, so let's just go on into these different states. So Maine right there is, now I'm going to try really, really hard to pronounce this right, so forgive me, folks, if I don't. Katahdin is that highest peak right there. Now is about 5269 feet. It's within the community of Baxter Peak. It's a granite mountain with various glacial features. Now, the name means the greatest mountain. So, yeah, it's kind of weird that it's Katahdin Mountain and it's the greatest mountain. It's sort of a redundant name, but what can you do? But all the same. So, the stretch of the trail in Maine is about 281 miles roughly. So, the following numbers are just approximations. And yes, I rounded them because decimals don't really matter when really, let's face it, we're just here to look at the pretty pictures. Now, really, really nice website that was going through with some of the geology of actually that I found was right there. Now, this is another one that was nice, just looking at some of the trail signs and everything else too. Now we're looking into New Hampshire. So it's about a 161-mile stretch Precambrian to the Paleozoic rock, and it winds around several things, including, yes, Mount Washington, which is about 6288 feet high. And I can speak from personal experience. My husband and I rode our Honda Shadow. It is a motorcycle up to the top of Mount Washington. And oh my God, the really, really stupid questions that people got from us. We got tired of people asking us, "Did you really ride that up there?" So I got tired of just people asking me because I was carrying my helmet or all under my arm. So I just said, "No, we just, we picked it up and we carried it," and folks started taking us seriously. So for those that had those little, I drove my car up Mount Washington bumper stickers, I feel you because I ain't ever doing that again. I really, really hate heights and I ain't ever doing that again. Vermont, 161 miles. Now, you may be wondering if you ever think, hey, can I do this? Because, I mean, about roughly, maybe they estimate out of all the people that try to hike the trail in a year, maybe give or take, say 25 to 30% actually complete it. Most people go north down to south, then south down to north. But all the same, yes, there are some places where you can camp along the way, but it isn't encouraged all the time because there are some places where, yes, there's obviously a lot of wildlife, a lot of bears and other things, snakes, what have you, and just naturally it's just not as hospitable. It just doesn't lend for camping, but there is right here a little bit of a lean-to. So now Vermont, 161 miles. You're looking at lots of glacial features. Now these ancient pieces of oceanic crust that were thrust up from all these different orogenies are left by here as well. Now, Mount Greylock is a mountain that is left behind in Massachusetts. It has a lovely elevation, 3,491 feet. There it is right there. The whole entire length of the trail in Massachusetts is about 90 miles. Now, you got a lot from the Taconic orogeny left over in here, little bit of volcanism, and they really do highlight some of the marine depositional environments that were behind as well. Connecticut, you get 52 miles with a lot of mountain building and glacial features. Now, New York, you get Precambrian to Paleozoic rocks. New Jersey, that is High Point State Park, so the trail kind of sort of skirts around it, sort of a little bit. Now, the trail runs 72 miles in New Jersey. Now, what it's very, very much known for in Jersey is having very little elevation change due to having very, very heavy erosion. So it's one of those places where people like to go there and just walk the trail in Jersey. It's considered a nice place that if you sort of like want to wet your feet in hiking the trail, you do Jersey first just to sort of see how it is, just to see if you like doing it. And then, you get on to other additional places. I mean, yeah, some of the pictures here are obviously just stunning. So then you go on to Pennsylvania, or as the the people that have hiked the Appalachian Trail call it, where boots go to die. Or its other nickname is Rocksylvania, because Pennsylvania is known for a lot of things. And one thing that we're known for is having a really interesting and complicated geology. And that has made things very interesting for some of the Appalachian Trail hikers and very, very painful indeed. So, things get to be pretty festive here. People try to make light of things, as you can tell here from the decorations and all the little Christmas bulbs and whatnot. So it contains the ceremonial midpoint, which is Pine Grove Furnace State Park. Like there's a restaurant there that has this obscenely large sundae that's right alongside a little bit outside of that, where basically it's sort of a rite of passage where people are supposed to eat this giant sundae all by themselves. things like that. And altogether, Pennsylvania has 230 miles of the trail itself. Again, I did a good portion of it when I was a bit younger, and something I can very, very much recommend. Just be careful when you do it. I ran into a lot of rattlesnakes. I love snakes, absolutely beautiful, but just watch what season you do it in, because pretty much every female rattlesnake I saw was gravid, meaning pregnant. So just, yeah, watch where you go. So, Maryland, 41 miles. You have the Appalachian Plateau and the Piedmont Plateau provinces. Gorgeous, gorgeous area right there. West Virginia, so that right there is Harper's Ferry. That is the headquarters of the Appalachian Trail Commission, and the region itself features sedimentary rocks. Now, I just love that sign because it says, Maine on the left and then Georgia with an arrow to the right. That's the sort of sign that somebody like me would make that just absolutely cannot tell. I just love it when I go to like put in Google Maps in my phone and it just says turn north, and if I knew what friggin' direction north was, I wouldn't be having Google Maps or my phone. Yeah, that's the type of sign that I would put up. I saw that and I just started laughing maniacally, and I'm like, I gotta put that in. Now, Virginia. Virginia is big, 550 miles big. Very, very diverse geologically due to its size. Obviously, with 550 miles, you're going to have a lot of complications. Also, too, because it parallels a lot of various parks and other trails, a lot of other things. You've got a lot of mountain ranges in the area, so you got a lot to deal with. There's a lot of sedimentary and metamorphic outcrops, along with regions that are marked with heavy folding as well. Now, Tennessee consists of 71 miles. There is the Smoky Mountains there, contains the highest summit on the trail at 6643 feet elevation, and varied geology marked by folding. North Carolina contains 96 miles of the trail, various rock types, remnants of old collisions, and just like the others, older rocks alongside more mountainous regions. Now, this right down here, you get the Appalachian Trail approach, and then, further down, you get more and more reminders that you're getting closer down there to further on down to Georgia. So 75 miles, the terminus, or at least the southern terminus of things. That right there is Blood Mountain, or at least the sunset view from Blood Mountain. So highly deformed basement rocks with newer sedimentary ones. So again, just a look into some of the highlights of the Appalachian Trail and some of the various rocks and features that are found within it. If it's ever something that you ever have the time to do, even if it's just if you're within, say, I don't know, 5-15 minutes or whatever of it, just for a little bit of your day, please consider doing something like that. It's absolutely marvelous. Really, really, it is a wonderful, wonderful thing to do. In case you're wondering, by the way, the youngest documented person ever to hike the entire Appalachian Trail was only 4 years old, so consider that. So 4 years old, isn't that amazing? Go Juniper. So thank you very much, folks, and enjoy your week now. Bye.